Welcome to another Imperator Rome strategy short. This one is about moving pops. This is going to be part 3 and the final iteration. Is for advanced mechanics of moving pops and or assimilating and converting, and migration, mostly having to move pops without actually having to move them. So first of all, you'd want to set up a conversion and assimilation factory, which is what I've done here in the region of Italia. All of these provenances have been set at cultural assimilation since the start of the game. There are quite a few pops there, as you'll note. I built cities over the course of the game along the coast and have recently come into the money to where I can get theaters and temples in all of these coastal cities as well as the interior ones. Build a port here and create a migration attraction. This is a non-augmented provenance. There's nothing there, no holy site, no artifacts or relics, no state improvement of the infrastructure, nothing. And there's still quite a bit of migration that's happening, and it happens very quickly once you reach this law here, which allows for promotion speed and migration to kick up. Slaves don't really migrate very quickly at all unless you have this law in place, and then even some random slave, which normally only migrates at the 0.05, is now a baseline of 1.55, and that happens quickly. And all of these territories along the coast here have the same sort of presentation. They have quite a few aqueducts and pop capacity, which is going to figure into the algorithm to determine whether pop will migrate there or not. So presently, as you'll note, this is a Roman game, but in theory it could be done with any nation, anywhere, provided you have the money for theaters and temples in all of these territories, your capital region. You can then move. To make a long story short, you'll note there are no pops here. Where are they? Over the course of, say, the last 50 years or thereabouts, I take a break from a war or take a break from doing whatnot, come back and move some of these pops, maybe 100 at a time, down into these cities. And when the Druidic Lepontic, for instance, reaches this city, which used to have Roman slaves, you can move the Roman slaves out, move the Druidic Lepontics in. If you take a look, for instance, at the cultural value, it's wildly Roman, with a few Lepontics. As I've been doing this, there are 4 Druidics at present, so I could haphazardly move as many Druidic Lepontics or whomever, Salusians or whatnot, into these territories and then vacate the Roman primary culture slaves out, as I'm sure this pop ratio is essentially correct. So the Roman slaves would sit there in this city doing nothing other than being Roman slaves. We don't want them as Roman slaves, and in fact I have moved them. All of these cities, I just grab a provenance and then like move pop. Any Roman I see, I move them, say, here. And then I move the Romans from here to here. Then I'll remove any and all Roman pops from these territories in the same manner, just by clicking on this button here, and any Romans I see I move here, and then they end up in the capital at some point. Can be quite 143 Roman Hellenes that I need to disperse, so they'll promote quickly. The good news is, as you'll note, that there are quite a few incoming pops, and I don't really have to move them from Gaul, as all the ones that are easily movable, even in Illyria, have been moved and are presently part of the Italic assimilation and conversion machine here. So, like if we take this, for instance, again, we can take a look at where they're coming from. We can follow these lines all the way. We have some people from Cyprus. We have some guy from the middle of Africa somewhere here. Gypsaria. Even further down, we have somebody coming from our newly conquered territory. Where is it? It's Homeria. All of these it happens automatically, and you don't really have to mess with it. But what it requires is some setup. You need a serious amount of money, and you need a serious amount of political influence. The money is relatively easy, as we make it hand over fist. It just sort of happens once you get wide enough. But the political influence is a different trick. My previous how-to Roman part 1 and part 2, how to play, I detailed a very easy. If I had to do it again, the more advanced mechanic would say religion down to a basic way to proceed down the tech tree, formulaic worship, irrespective of much of anything. So let's say we go to formulaic worship immediately, and we also have theological colleges. We also want to unearth bookbinding, which is going to raise your research rate to 175. I would recommend just taking it to 175 and leaving it there. After those two are actioned, formulaic worship and then the plus 25% to the cap, go immediately. Do not stop and do not do much of anything. Here to provincial census, you'll get extra PI here, 10%. You'll be able to build the government wonder, which will keep your provinces loyal, and then go down here immediately. Don't do anything else. Don't take martial stuff. You don't need it, generally speaking. You get plus 4 character loyalty. You want to head down this way. Right here, you get plus 25% PI and another plus 2 character loyalty. So that's going to be plus 8 character loyalty. You've added 35% to your PI generation, and you can run a really high tyranny, which means you're going to make more from your tax income, as well as burn your AE down substantially. By running a 97 tyranny, I'm burning 0.38 AE per. So you'll note I have a serious AE burn here of 1.22, mostly due to my diplomatic reputation. That Diplo rep while I'm here comes from the diplomatic traditions, plus 15 to Diplo rep, and diplomatic doctrines, plus 15 to Diplo rep there as well. Those are unearthed by these two oratory texts right here, Tributary Administration and Casus Belli. Those are very, very useful as they burn down aggressive expansion like you would not believe. So to make a long story short, move your pops down here in the early to mid game, wash them out in these automatic assimilation territories with the assimilation policy and with formulaic worship. If you can afford a temple or a theater, drop it. I didn't drop them for a long time and still was able to proceed. This plan mostly working as specified. The capital province is a specialty case that I have. It's gonna not exactly be repeatable for you unless you do what I do, is give myself a free provincial improvement whenever I pop an omen. The logic being at some point there would have been a DLC enabling republics to do the same sort of free provincial improvement that monarchs get, but as the DLC is not coming and the game has been shelved, I just use the console whenever I pop an omen. I give myself a free provincial improvement, which I've been using for state infrastructure, which has added 57% to the base. Everything, nothing else is. All of this is. There's nothing's been done with the console. It's a standard issue game. You could do it in yours as easily as not. This, however, is not so much so. This migration attraction is going to be augmented by the higher population capacity, and just as a disclaimer. But the theory is going to be the same. You'd want a holy site in these coastal territories. Now, Rome has 4 coastal territories in its capital province. I built a holy site in each of them. All of them have ports, and all of them have a very serious migration attraction, so I don't have to do much of anything. Every 6 months or so, I stop the game and take a look here to see if I need to build an aqueduct or not. There are, as you'll note, quite a few pops coming in from all over the globe, really. So I don't have to move these pops manually. They will come with little effort at all due to this high migration attraction. Plus 5 from the holy site, plus 12.15 from the pop capacity, port and other very small items. It's mostly the holy site and the pop capacity. Any capital province with a access to the sea is nice. You could do quite a bit with Sardinia here. It has quite a few coastal territories here. If you move the capital over here, could be a decent playthrough, an idea. So that is about going to do it. That's part 3, a more advanced mechanic where you don't really have to move them so much beyond the early game. So again, in conclusion, this is going to be the last Imperator Rome pop moving or how-to video. EU4 is coming out soon, and I plan on tinkering with that in no great detail. What we're going to do is, in an early game, we're going to grab whatever pops are close, which in Rome's case is generally just these territories here. Move them down into the capital region proper, where you'll have an auto assimilation policy, and in Rome's case quite a few cities. Depending on your start, you may have to build cities. You really want to get temples and theaters in each of these cities as quickly as possible. You might want to think about build cost modifiers and such, or just maybe let the assimilation policy work itself. Personally, just having played this game, the auto assimilation policy doesn't really do it if you have a robust number of pops that you're moving down, and you'll want to get theaters and or temples, mostly theaters first, augmenting the assimilation speed. I find that in Rome's case, the area is so wildly Hellenic that you don't really need to have temples unless you have an abundance of money. Generally speaking, you want to get them assimilating, and once they're Roman, you can then move them out of these cities, which are going to be the assimilation and conversion factories, into Rome proper, where they can really start to benefit from some modifiers. Like the holy sites, we have +6 capacity, +4, +4, +2 building slots, +2 more building slots, assimilation speed modifiers, another modifier, and more pop capacity. These cities, the more the merrier, as you'll note. I have built quite a few. I start with quite a few, but if you take any given city, we have some serious assimilation and conversion going on, and there's more migration, as previously noted, from the ports and the extra capacity in these cities due to maxed out essentially aqueduct, port, theater, and temple, and that's all they have. As for the rest, who cares? They're going to end up in Rome, where they'll be even further augmented or highly augmented. Okay, but the bottom line is that the more cities you have, the more temples and theaters you can build. Theater and temple, theater and temple, theater and temple. So, and once these slaves are converted every year or thereabouts, you could take an assessment like a census or whatnot and just take all the Romans out, move them, say, here, and then move this group here, as previously noted, and then move them here, and then take all of the Roman pops out of these conversion factory cities, move them here, and then disperse them in your capital province. That's essentially the size of it. It works very well. It's something to do in the mid and late game. Is it necessary for quote-unquote victory? No. And that's going to do it here. I hope to see you in the next